Good evening, welcome to the Brewgooders League of Beer and Comics, the show where we discuss craft beers and independent/mainstream comics in a level of detail that's probably a bit geeky and a bit inappropriate. I'm your host for this week, and I am usually the host of most weeks. My name's Jeff. I'm usually here with Colin and James, but unfortunately this week they're both indisposed, so you're unfortunately going to be stuck with me. As always, we take recommendations on both beers and comics. We are involved in most social media outlets. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram by looking at the Brewgooders. You can just get involved in any conversations we've got going. We try and keep all those streams as active as possible, and a little bit of fun. We use a lot of social media interaction to direct the discussion and direct what we'll tend to look at. Usually on a Saturday night I will try and put up a post on our Facebook and other social medias. If I remember, we are available at the Brewgooders on most social medias, but definitely Facebook, Twitter, Instagram are the ones we use the most. If you contact us, if you comment, if you email us, thebrewgooders@gmail.com, you will find we are really good at responding and trying to keep that conversation going. And we tend to take recommendations, particularly of beer. On a Saturday night, as I say, I will put a photograph of the beer that I'm drinking and ask our community what they're drinking, and it leads to at least a couple of people putting up photos of what they're drinking, and we can have a nice discussion, and it gives us ideas for future episodes. Also, as part of our comic book reading, obviously we tend to focus on what Colin and I are reading. We both read a lot of comics, so it's what's catching our eye. But recently, with quite a good level of success, we've been getting some really interesting emails from comic creators and artists who want us to check out their pieces. So, if that interests you, if you're a comic reader, if you're a comic writer, if you're a comic creator, letterer, artist, inker, if you're involved in the process in any way, shape or form, please get in contact with us, and then we'll look at getting you a spot in a future episode, which we'll be doing later on this episode. More to be revealed as we go. Okay, so the beer that I want to discuss this week is Arbor Ale's My Little Sabrony. It is a single hop American pale ale. Arbor Ale are a brewery that is Arbor Ales are a brewery that have showed up quite a lot on the show. They usually specialise, to my knowledge, on gluten-free beer. I don't think this falls within that category though. We have reviewed them both on our LGBT month week that we did last year around about June time, and we also reviewed them as part of our quite popular gluten-free episode where we just reviewed beers and comics that had that kind of theme to them. Arbor Ales do these 1 pint cans, which are really good. They fall within quite a reasonable £4 to £6 rate. Certainly in the Caledonian Craft Beer Merchant I paid about that for it. I think it was about £4 something. My Little Sabrony, it is a single hop American pale ale brewed with large quantities of Sabro hops. So I think single hop, that's the hop they're using. It's a really distinct smell and flavour. From what I recall, I bought this before as part of the pub crawls that we've started to run. We ran one in January, we're going to run one in March, and try and make them bi-monthly so that people can come and meet us either in Edinburgh or Dunfermline, and or wherever we decide to have them actually, and just kind of get involved in craft beer. As I say, they do these 1 pint cans, which are really good. They're really good value for money, and quite distinctive. They tend to be single cutler cans. Obviously this catches the eye because it's not that. And the reason I decided to review it now and not back in January when I discovered the beer is because it's February, and it's at time of recording it's February, and it's LGBT History Month. The smell is something that always catches me on, the distinctive, that Sabro hop smell. It's quite citrusy. And there's a punchy, almost kind of creamy, caramelly hoppiness to it as well that I absolutely adore. As you can see from the smell, it's very cloudy. It's sort of the colour is really cloudy. The smell, as you can see from the smell, it's cloudy. What am I talking about? It's lovely on in the taste. It's quite bitter, but it's got this kind of grapefruit. I want to say grapefruit. The issue with drinking alone, apart from feeling like you're letting society down in some way, is there's no one to bounce the ideas off of. So if you've had this before, please get in touch. But yeah, it's a very light bitterness to the taste. That kind of it doesn't dwindle for too long. There's not much of a kickback in the aftertaste. It is lovely. It's really sessional in my opinion. It's 5%, so you could have 2 or 3 of these cans quite easily as part of a good evening. And I say it would be relatively cost effective as well. As somebody that's also, I'm vegetarian, but this is actually a vegan can of beer as well, which I think a lot of people quite adore. Yeah, absolutely sessional. Saturday night, I'm going to drink this and a couple of Arbor Ale stuff. I think a single beer's go. This is quite chill, quite appropriate. I don't know if the mic's picking this up, but my wife's in the next room in the bath with our young son, just messing about, and I'm trying not to laugh because they're making silly noises as they blow bubbles at each other. What else is to say about this beer? I want to just discuss some of the flavours in here. As I say, Sabro hops is not something I'm massively familiar with, to be honest. You know, in Scotland or it's got cold. I'm in a bit of quite a lot. I'm really sorry. That's quite rude. In Scotland, we tend to kind of citra hops tends to be one that I see a lot of. Obviously, if you explore more craft beery stuff, you do find your Azakas and your mosaics and stuff like that. But as a snack, this is it's just a really nice, got a nice wee citrus punch in the smell and in the taste. It's not overly bitter. You would I'm going to do this wee test that I learnt when we went to visit Seven Kings Brewery. Because that smell is really punchy and it's lovely, as part of the sort of the all-round experience of the beer. It's lovely. I'm going to just see how what I've done is I've just put my palm, for those that are audio, I'll put my palm over the can, spin it around, and we've been told that kind of obviously puts some oxygen into beer and gives some of the stronger scents a wee bit more air to breathe. Obviously it's kind of similar to what you would do with wine. Absolutely, there's this beautiful aroma of citrus fruit, kind of peach, which comes back to that kind of creamy texture I discuss. It's just a lovely beer, and one that I enjoy sharing with friends. As I say, I'm a bit worried. I'm going to drop a wee email to my local beer shop and just make sure that this hasn't been discontinued, because I would be gutted about that. But yeah, on my sort of beerometer, if we were using such a thing, we tried using it last week to varying degrees of success. This is a pretty decent upper tier beer for me. Cost effective, exciting enough, premium enough, and enjoyable enough that I would share it to other people. It's a good gateway beer for those who are kind of new to the craft beer, which is why, you know, I've discovered this over Christmas time, and it's why I gave it to friends that came to our pub crawl, because it's a good beer that sort of illustrates what American Pale Ale does without being overpowering and without being obviously, if you go a wee bit stronger, you know, that alcoholic kick can be a bit of a shock, and it has been for me. It can be a bit of a shock for some people. So yeah, a 5%, middle of the road, but also very tasty and premium single hop American Pale Ale. So excellent stuff from Arbor. So yeah, this is the comic portion of this week. I'm very lucky to have kind of this space in my house where I can do this sort of thing, and hopefully I will have it decorated in the next couple of weeks with some really nice wall art. You know, it'll be temporary wall art that I'll be moving in and out between episodes, because my wife would kill me otherwise. But I'm going to use it right now to check out this new format, and you can tell me what you think. But I'm going to be reviewing this wonderful comic that I'm very fortunate to be in possession of. It's called Dragon Whisperer. So Dragon Whisperer is a steampunk fantasy adventure comic written by Alex de Luca. with some phenomenal art by Glenn Fernandez. As I say, it comes out on March 18th, 2020, so at time of recording it's not out yet, but I've read issue 1 and I just want to talk about that. By the end of issue 1, it's a bit of a rollercoaster ride. We've already established lots. We have a protagonist and supporting cast with loads of background exploration of a number of characters. We have an intriguing robotic antagonist, and we have perhaps the most intriguing character of all, the clockwork world of Golda, where the story is set. Rosalinda, this young lady here, our hero amongst all the steampunk craziness going on, also has this kind of fantastical ability, mystical power, which is the ability to talk to, or at least communicate with animals, or as the comic refers to them, beasts of either conventional and fantastic. At the beginning of the comic, she meets sort of a series of incidents that lead to a very tragic circumstance that becomes an opportunity for her to serve aboard a privateer air galleon on a quest to kill the last remaining dragon and lift a 400-year-old curse. Yep, 25 pages in, and very much this is a pretty wild ride. But it's tight. I would say on rereading it that it maybe feels a teeny weeny bit rushed. I also understand that in the comic medium you need to get your ideas out as quick as possible and try and get them out whiz bang wallop, or you could become, there's that risk that you could become lost in the ocean of indie comics that can exist. So you walk through comic conventions and you see loads of fantastic ideas. It's an idea haven, so we need to do something special. What I feel quite special about this is the world feels genuine, and it's got some really intriguing concepts that are fully realised and fully genuine by the end of issue 1. And I think a big part of that belongs to the art. If I was to use 2 words to describe the art, I would say that it was perfect and stunning. There's a bold confidence in the writing that would be really let down by mediocre art. And we have all read or seen something where the intriguing concepts and ideas of a story kind of get lost by some uninspiring or unimposing art. Glenn Fernandez, however, provides something truly special to Dragon Whisperer. He breathes life into this fantastical world. As I say, I talk about a genuine element which I think really comes from his work. It's a fantastical world, but it still feels real, and this is only done by his confidence, which truly complements the writing, providing this already immersive world that contains a journey where you feel the weight and stakes of every choice and decision. He provides, even in the first 25 pages of issue 1, there's different landscapes and settings that feel fully realised, and the feeling and wearing of the characters and their feelings are also totally realised in that. You feel what they feel, you see what they see, you reminisce when they reminisce. It's quite magical, fantastic art from Glenn Fernandez. I don't want to keep saying things are ace and this is awesome, but in terms of colours, the colouring of this comic truly is wonderful. They're vibrant and it gives life, meaning and depth to all other things required within that medium. Fantastic job in the colouring, well done there. In terms of lettering, also lettering was done by Alex de Luca as well. Again, just quite amazing. You feel the character in the characters, you feel the convey of emotion and urgency. Just wonderful. When characters are saying things, you just feel what they feel and you know what journey you're going on with them. So overall, in my opinion, it's a cracking issue 1. It's perfect as issue 1s get. I have seen sneak peeks of issues 2, 3 and 4. I can't believe I've actually bought them because they're not even out yet. As I say, this one doesn't come out till issue March 18th, but I'm on board in this Galleon. I'm perfectly invested in going on this Dragon Slaying quest. I am, at time of recording this, totally steampunked out my nut. I've been love rereading Electromagnetic, which is the wonderful steampunk series written by our very own Colin. So that's a wee plug for my man there. Issue 4 of that has just come out and it's great. And then last week, Netflix popped up 7 of their Studio Ghibli movies. Of these, they're not Netflix, they just belong to Studio Ghibli. My favourite personally is Castle in the Sky. Laputa Castle in the Sky is what I grew up with it normally known as. And it's steampunk heaven. If I was to give a compliment to Dragon Whisperer, I could say that this could be output from Studio Ghibli,
and I'm talking like the 80s, 90s output of Stereo Googly when it was at its best. It's full of character, colour, bold, bravery and heart. It's just phenomenal. So if you like the steampunk genre, if you like Studio Ghibli stuff, if you like things like Philip Pullman's His Dark Material series or the Philip Reeves Mortal Engine series, this would be perfect for you. But ultimately, anyone of all ages that enjoys action and adventure should find immense enjoyment in this and should ultimately give it a go. So as I said, issue 1 is out on the 18th of March. Don't miss out on that. Get to the person that gets you your comics. And I'll also throw you a couple of bones about where to find this as well. But you should own this. You should be looking out for it because it is quite amazing. Ultimately, with ratings, I'm going to give this, with our new rating system, I'm going to give this 9.5 out of 10. It's almost perfect, and it could be perfect by the end of issue 2. As I said, there's a wee bit of pacing, I think, and a bit of rush, but we're trying to squeeze in those ideas in an understandable way. Stay tuned after this. Obviously, if you're viewing this, that's totally fine. But if you want to, ultimately, this is the end of the podcast. If you're viewing this, if you want a wee bit more, you need to check out our audio output this week, because I have an exclusive. I think it's the first interview that Alex de Luca has done, and we're going to be talking about Dragon Whisper in a wee bit more detail. He's going to be giving me some sneak peeks. He's also giving me details of where to access it, and just as I say, if you're a geek like me, when you find something special that you really enjoy, you want to find out more about that thing. So this comic podcast interview that follows this in the audio stream, you'll get that, and you'll get something quite special that at present no one else has yet. And I think by this time next year, when Dragon Whisperer is out and everyone knows what it is, I think you can rest assured and being one of those guys that can be like, oh, well, I heard the Brewgooders podcast. I heard it when Jeff was talking to Alex, and I like Dragon Whisper before it was cool. So if you're one of those nerds like me that likes to feel like you've got your pulse, your fingers on the pulse of something before it becomes cool, you should totally check out that audio output. Next week for the viewing public out there, it's going to be kind of jam-packed. This Thursday, I am going to Edinburgh, hopefully with Colin, and meeting a couple of friends, because it's Tiny Rebel, which is one of our favourite breweries, Tiny Rebel's 8th birthday party. So we're going to go to the Innes Gun pub on Lothian Road to try out their special 8 beers that they brought out for that event. And also, later this weekend, it is Edinburgh Comic Con. So I'm hoping to meet Doctor Who. Colin Baker's going to be there. I will put the link to where you can find this comic convention in the show notes. But everyone should head along there, because it sounds like it's going to be really, really phenomenal. David Bradley, who was the first Doctor in the most recent in the Peter Capaldi Christmas special from a couple of years ago, who was also a character in Harry Potter as well. So very well established. Also Game of Thrones stuff as well. There's also loads of things there, some cars from Transformers and stuff there, and then obviously the comic creators and that you would expect at sort of conventions as well. As I say, show notes will have all the details of that there. So next week should be kind of jam-packed, and you should hopefully have Colin back, and you'll be not having to deal with a nervous me standing in the corner of my kitchen, which is either a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you look at it. So yeah, until then, see you next week. And please get in touch, like, share, subscribe, all the stuff that we always ask you to do, and let us know what you thought of this kind of change in format of the episode. Thank you so much. I will see you later.